Hello and welcome to the North Bank podcast, where as ever I'm joined by Stef and Chris. Hello, gentlemen.
Evening.
Good evening.
Okay, so I don't know about you two, but my mood is somewhat being lifted by the result from Anfield, and I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Nope.
Well, listen, okay, but if I said to you, if we'd beaten Brighton and Liverpool had beaten United, we'd be in exactly the same position as we are now. Because nobody expected Liverpool to drop points against United. It was a matter of how much they would score. So I'm seeing it as cracks beginning to appear in their kind of machinery.
There's two ways of looking at it. That one is that it's a missed opportunity and that they dropped points today and we should have won yesterday, or that we're at level peggings.
Reverse that. It's a missed opportunity for Liverpool as well.
I don't care about Liverpool.
No, well, you should, because they're our main rival.
What we're doing or not doing at the minute.
Exactly, Steph, is we keep looking over our shoulder or rather ahead to Liverpool and what they're doing, and I think we've got issues closer to home that we need to sort out first before we consider ourselves, title contenders.
Okay, so when I was planning this pod, and we're recording on Sunday evening, just after the Liverpool United game is finished, my first note was to write down title over ? Steph, this is before
can't say
the Liverpool
over,
result.
can you? Can't say over, but it doesn't feel good at the minute. But you can't say over.
Chris,
if I was a betting man, or rather if I was going to give you a kind of ratio of where I think it sits at the moment, I'd say about 20% likely that we'll win the title.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I wrote it down is because from final whistle yesterday till final whistle at Anfield today, I was very firmly in the camp of, well, we should stop even thinking about the title.
Yeah.
Because it's not on our agenda now at all, top four. However, the fact that after what we've been through yesterday's game, and we'll touch on wider season context as well, the fact that we're still where we were before kickoff yesterday. If the title was still on the cards yesterday before kickoff, well, then it has to still be on the cards now. We've got a really tricky away game out of the way, and I'm sorry to United fans, but that is a home win all day long for Liverpool against United with the way the teams are playing. I know it's a bit more like local rivalry and so on, but so I'm kind of not reinvigorated, because I wasn't invigorated about our title challenge before kickoff yesterday. However, I'm not prepared to write it off quite as much. So I know, so hang on, just give me a second. Just a shout out to a mate of mine, Michael, who sent me a long message today with lots of positives. He must have sensed I'd be down, and they included, we're only 2 points worse off than this time last year. Mm-hmm. We've had a disproportionate amount of tough away games compared to Liverpool, and we've got the majority of our really difficult away games out of the way. Obviously, Anfield is a kind of an anomaly, an outlier there, and we're unbeaten in 12. And I just thought, adding to that, Nwaneri is the first Arsenal player to score more than one goal in the Premier League before his 18th birthday. Now, I know that's tinged with a little bit of injury sadness, but our next 5 games are all at home in 4 different competitions. Silver linings and all that. Let's not be too Eeyore and miserable about it, perhaps. Anyway, Steph, go on. You were jumping in.
Do you know what? I don't even know what my point. The point I was going to make was that I was saying this yesterday, and I was already thinking it on our intrepid route home, that Arsenal fans are going to be tying themselves in knots and doing their own heads in, because the head and the heart are seeing completely different things, and the brain and the eyes are processing different things as well. Because, in our heads and looking at it logically, lots of games to go, lots of difficult away games out of the way. Liverpool have dropped points, and there's still a chance and all that kind of thing as well. But what we're seeing and what we're feeling just seems very different. 11 games unbeaten, but it doesn't feel like we've got any momentum. Yes, we've got a couple of good players coming in, like Nwaneri and scoring, such a young player, but then he gets injured, and he's only really playing because of other injuries. So it's really hard to get too much enthusiasm going just because of the context surrounding everything. And yet, like you say, 11 games unbeaten, difficult away game, weird decisions against us, and all those other factors, and illness and injuries. But the dissonance in everyone's heads, the contrast of, well, that bit's quite good and that bit's not so good, is just going to make people just frustrated generally, which is why, I think actually looking at the title, looking at the end goal, I think is a bit of a fool's errand. You know, we're up there, we're second, so we've just got to keep plugging away and do that thing that we praised Rice for however long ago it was, when he said that you've got to take every game as it comes. We've got to do the same, because it's all well and good looking at the end, but we've got a lot of steps to get there, and we've got a lot of things that need sort of fixing and correcting before we get there.
Chris?
I'll just supplement that by saying, I feel the same, that there's that weird feeling of we're not quite at our fluent best, and no wonder, because it's just been such a fragmented season overall in terms of, what's gone against us, the injuries mainly. We haven't had a settled team really all year, and we're feeling it. The eye test tells us as well, when we go to games, it's just the fluency's not there, and we're all crying out for more attacking guile and creativity. So we are still in there technically, but something's got to change to give us, if we're going to make a charge like we did last season with a run, you can't see it with the current setup. My
counter to some of that is as well, is look, injuries are decimating us at the moment, but it's not something that we can hang our disappointments on because of other teams and their injury situations as well. I know Liverpool, in terms of their front line, have been pretty good, but they missed Alisson for a long time. Van Dijk's rarely had a settled centre-back partner for most of the season, so that's not necessarily, we've had it to a great extent. Obviously Tottenham's woes are much publicised. I think ultimately we need to start looking at what's not necessarily working in certain games. Tottenham have outscored us in the league. They've scored more goals than us, and that's clearly an area where we need something to add to the situation. And whether that comes tactically or through new players, who knows?
Yeah, we have had. I know you messaged yesterday, Steph, after the game. You like words to the effect of, "This is on Arteta."
Yes.
In terms of, and I think that kind of, I really feel that even Saka's injury is on Arteta. We said it all the time. He's overplaying him. Home
as
games,
are England.
Yeah, but that's fine. But we know that, and we have far more games to play about with than England have, and there's far more games we can rest him for and be sensible about his use, his minutes. And he has 2 minor hammies this season, and then the big one. Like, it was there. It's poor management. It's akin to Wenger's overuse of Wilshere when he was 17, 18. Played 55, 56 times in one season, and Wilshere he ever had a complete season after that, injury free. So there's that. Now, squad development, squad building as well. No attacking player signed in 2-3 consecutive windows.
I was going to say, buying an understudy that can take the minutes away from Saka has also been
or even, I know Jesus hasn't been available for a lot of the time as well, but play Martinelli there. We've got, like, and I'm not talking about playing Martinelli there at home to Liverpool or away to United or away to City, but home to a bottom 6, bottom 7 team. Saka shouldn't be starting that game. Keep him on the bench, and if we need him, bring him on for the last 20 minutes, fine. But we mismanaged his minutes terribly. And when I was picking the team, and this is not captain hindsight here, but when I was picking the team for the Brighton game, I can see, I'm looking at it now, I've got 2 names down wide right. I've got Nwaneri and Jesus. And the reason I was hesitant about Nwaneri is because he's so young and he played a lot of minutes. I think I might have said it as well in the Bournemouth game, an away game, a difficult game. And I thought, starting him in consecutive away games, 3 days apart, is a bit of a gamble. Just on, and now he's gone off we've got a muscle injury. Bad news. And again, we were forced into that. Perhaps we got to say, like, kind of compounding Arteta's difficult situation, I guess, is the fact that, and I didn't realise this, but Lewis Skelly has been sick. Martinelli has been sick. Trossard had been ill previously, which might explain why he was as useful as a chocolate teapot against Brighton. Ødegaard has been sick, we know, and he came on and he was like, it was Ødegaard's shadow that was there. There was nothing like his completely. Havertz not in the starting lineup because he's been ill. So yeah, okay, the situation's been compounded by this illness bug that's been doing the rounds. But still, there are points to, like, Partey should not be playing. You telling me the 4 left backs on the substitutes bench, not one of those specialist fullbacks could not slot in at right back, you know, and let Partey play in his strongest position?
Don't.
That was key for me.
It's like there's a growing body of evidence, not that any more should be needed, that Partey at right back should not happen. Simple as that. Play Saliba at right back and play get Kivior in at centre back, do you know, or whatever. But there's other ways around it. There are rounder pegs to put in that hole than the Partey, perhaps.
That was what motivated me to say that message about being on Arteta. There's a few other things in there as well, but ultimately taking a player who we talked about in view of being potentially a man of the match player against Brentford just a few days before, taking him out of that position and putting him in a position where previously he's never really shone. Okay, I think he had a fairly good game, was it against Forest, in that position? But
he doesn't do particularly badly. He's not costing us goals there. It's what we miss.
Yes, elsewhere
with him in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say as well, because the thing about the illnesses as well, that on the one hand, look, if there really aren't any other options, then perhaps having players who are under the weather or whatever it might be on the bench is fine. But actually, those players did not look up for it. So it'd almost be better off just leaving them out of the squad and saying,
spreading the illness.
Well, spreading the illness. Let's forget about that kind of protocol. But I think ultimately, it just doesn't do anyone any favours. Doesn't do the player any favours. Doesn't do him any favours, because I just think. You could argue it. Look, if Martinelli and who was the other one that came on?
Ødegaard.
Yeah, Ødegaard. Martinelli and Ødegaard. If they've been that unwell and are not really, fit to play because of a virus, leave them out. And if that means bringing, Cabia on, a youth player in the wing back, that's fine. Because then at least everyone can go, do you know what? We've just been under the weather. We might have got away with one there, and that is what it is. But
it's funny because it might. You're absolutely right. I mean, ignoring the nature of their equaliser, but a 1-1 draw away at Brighton under those conditions is actually a decent result.
Yeah, you're not.
It's not 2 points dropped. It's a point gained. Okay, go on. Yes.
I was just going to add about the Partey thing. If Mikel's excuse for playing him there was to cause less disruption in other areas of the field, then that kind of falls on its arse, because what he then did was switch Rice to the sort of right 8 and Merino to his sort of favoured left, which didn't quite work for Rice. He prefers to be on the left, and Jorginho anchoring in the middle, which didn't work either, really.
No, he was poor.
He was outrun, it was that kind of game where they were pressing aggressively and he just couldn't cope. So that for as a reason, which I kind of would understand in some contexts, but not yesterday.
No, Partey at right back has never worked. He's tried it. I reckon he must have done it like 12, 13 games now. It's not working. It doesn't. I know the goal came from the right, and it came from a nice bit of interplay between, was it Rice and Merino, and then the ball
was Merino,
yeah, the ball wasn't actually meant for Nwaneri, I don't think, but he ran onto it, and you know what? The confidence. I reckon he might have injured himself in the process of that goal, because hardly anything else he tried in that first half came off. He was a little bit. I mean, I've mentioned it. He was a little bit off the boy, he's got the goal, and I genuinely thought the half-time substitution was less because he was on a yellow card and more because he was just giving the ball away all the time. And I thought we wanted a bit more control. Steph, you were at the game, weren't you? And you had a bit of a trial getting home last night.
Getting home. I mean, I had an absolutely lovely day until.
Tell us about your afternoon tea.
Oh, it was absolutely spectacular. So, knowing that there were certain weather warnings and this, that, and the other, we decided to get down to Brighton early in the minibus with a bunch of us from Norfolk. And a few of the people last year had gone to a little village just outside of Brighton, not far from the ground, in Rottingdean, which is a quaint little village on the south coast, and found this very quaint little old sort of tea shop. So we went back there and had afternoon tea, and it was very quaint and very delightful. And then it was sort of downhill from there, really, because not only did we have to endure what was a pretty torrid game in those weird conditions and terrible refereeing decisions, the minibus broke on the way home pretty much as it started snowing. Joy. So it was very much the wee hours of the morning when we finally got back. But, I'll be laughing about it in a few months' time when we're lifting the Premier League title. So,
Chris, did you hear that?
Yeah, no, I think it was the wind.
Was that the wind?
It was the wind picking up.
I swear it sounded like Steph being positive.
or sarcastic.
Yeah, well, there is that possibility, faint as it is.
Just a bit. It was a bit of a bummer.
Well, look, we looked jaded in the second half. Chris, you kept mentioning that on the chat, leggy and so on. And again, we had 2 days fewer than Brighton in terms of prep for the game. But the illnesses and so on. Go on, Steph. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I really want to not make excuses, because we went one up and we were quite buoyant, and then we went into full control mode, and it became, you say leggy, yes, I think that came sort of later. You're absolutely right, and obviously it's all a factor, it's all a context in the background. But similarly, after going a goal up, we were also not very adventurous. We didn't press home any advantage. We thought 1-0 might be enough. It gave off really bad vibes. I was watching in the away end. It was that backwards and sideways thing. It was reluctance to shoot, despite having a fair number of touches in the box. It was too many touches, and it was too ponderous, and it was too slow. And I think that it needs much more analysis than the situation of player availability.
Yeah, and I think you're absolutely right, because I did say to you, Chris, in reply to your observations about us being leggy, I said, well, we're giving Brighton the encouragement to come at us.
Yep.
And again, I've written this down. I'm getting fed up with our time wasting.
Yes.
I don't understand it.
Everyone in the away end was saying exactly the same.
It serves no purpose for us, no positive purpose for us at all.
It's becoming detrimental now.
Yes, it gets...
Because all it did was create this environment where, the opposition fans are always going to get onto that as well, but the way we doubled down on it, and to no advantage of our own, it wasn't like we were suddenly in a better position, formation-wise.
No, not at all. It breaks our own fluency as well, and it's coming from Arteta. He's like taking it from City. Well, of course it is. There's no... when you've got Nwaneri, a 17-year-old kid on the touchline, delaying, and the referee holding his arm in the air, pointing to his wristwatch, and then we still keep doing it. It's like, it just annoys me now. It's counterproductive. So
Yep.
Again, I absolutely get that, and again, Arteta is culpable for a lot of our drop points this season, including at home to Brighton, when we ceded all initiative in that game. The second Rice was sent off because of his tactics, because of how he set his team up. Right, we've got a 1-0 lead. Let's hold it. Let's. And this is interesting. Orbinho tweeted, "It's the 9th time this season that Arsenal have scored one or none in a Premier League game. 9th time we've scored." So LeGrove, I like a lot of what LeGrove says, and he does bang on about the amount of goals we've scored, and we have scored quite a lot of goals, but it's how they're shared out amongst key games. It's the 9th time this season we've scored one or none in a Premier League game. Out of those 9 games, We've dropped points in 7.
That's the difference.
7. So he might want total control and strangulation of the game. And we have got a very good defence, but it's not working.
No.
And I know there's a couple of 2-1 up away at City. Oh, we scored 2 goals, so that doesn't count as one of those 9 games. I know there are some game states which warrant. I mean, I watched the Saliba red cards, which people say was probably the more 50-50 of the 3 red cards we've received, the ludicrous Rice one and the Trossard one. But there was a game today, Fulham, in the first half, Fulham against Ipswich. By the measure of... I'm glad the player wasn't sent off. But he was about 8 yards outside the penalty box when he was fouled. Harry Wilson, I think. He would have been clean through. Yellow card. Saliba was barely inside his own half. And he got a red card.
Yeah, I think that what's annoying us with that is not the red card in itself. It's the application of that law as consistency terms across other games.
It's another example of a red card or an incident going against us that... By the letter of the law, Steph, you'll like that. You might argue it could be a red, but you'll never see it happen to another team. Which segues us nicely into... I will preface this by saying, quite remarkably, I'm not blaming the referee as much as I am blaming VAR. That's what the first thing I want to say. I can argue, or I can take the argument that possibly it could have been a red card. I'm trying to make myself feel better by... but when you see the angle where Saliba gets his head to the ball, it totally negates any potential maturity I was trying to bring to the situation, and it just reduces me to this ranting lunatic because it was never, ever a red card. And VAR, and Arteta said something quite deliberately.
You mean penalty, right?
Penalty, sorry, what am I talking about?
You said red card.
Sorry, penalty, of course, yeah. Scratch there every time I've said...
Just for anyone listening, he hasn't completely lost it. He's just...
He's getting there, though.
Fixated on red cards.
I'm a bit worried about that vein, pulsing in your forehead and your temple, though.
Yes, the penalty, of course. Arteta said in the post-match presser that he checked a few seconds, checked the replay, and he said that the fourth official told him that VAR had already checked it. So within seconds they checked it. So it would have been physically impossible for them to have seen sufficient number of replays because the second you see Saliba get... And it does change the direction of the ball. It's a proper connection on the ball, and then it is just a clash of heads. And from that angle, if anything, it looks like Pedro is clashing with Saliba. So it's a clash of heads. And I've never seen a penalty given for a clash of heads. And nor should you see a penalty given for a clash of heads. Simple as that. Disgusting decision. And Steph, I know you said, why wasn't that shown? And why wasn't the referee told to go and look at the pitch side monitor?
So before I comment on it, I just want to state, earlier on, I said that my biggest problem with the game was our performance. I'm not making excuses or trying to, use this as a conspiracy that it's denied us of certain points. We played poorly, and we a draw was probably all we deserved from the game.
Agreed.
That said, the whole point of VAR coming in is about when it comes to these match-changing decisions, that there is a more thoughtful, even elongated, and I hate the length of the process it takes to come to these decisions, but if it means coming to the right decision, then, it's hard to argue against it. Except, like you say here, you mentioned the Saliba red card against Bournemouth. Jared Gillett, I think, was the manager. Was the referee that day. On-field decision, he's given a yellow card. VAR has suddenly come in and said, I think you need to have a look at that again because there might be, negating factors that mean actually he's probably denied a goal-scoring opportunity. So you want to have a look at that again. Okay, fine. I was very disappointed that the referee looked at that again and thought, well, I've definitely made a 100% clear mistake here, so I'm going to reverse my decision, because I don't agree with that. But at least that process made sense to me. Yesterday, Anthony Taylor actually took a long time to think about this. So what he was thinking about and what he saw, again, I'm not hugely sure now that I've seen the video replays. Look, I'm the other end of the pitch in the away end. We saw nothing. We didn't see a thing. You know, it was just Cummings together. It's just nothing. But then when you watch it back on TV, how has VAR looked at that so quickly and gone, oh, you're absolutely right, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Stick with your decision.
They haven't.
They simply have not.
No, they haven't.
And like you say, again, I don't want to turn into tinfoil hat conspiracy theory guy because, and Chris, I'm nicking your line that you've said millions of times before, this poor process, poor refereeing, poor officiating is everyone's problem. Everyone's problem. Because it's our game yesterday, but it's someone else's game next week. Okay? It's a real problem. And I've been laughing at people this week because everyone's like getting all excited because when we play Newcastle in the Carabao Cup semi-final on Tuesday, they've announced, the PGMOL,
yes,
that there will be a live thing over the tannoy to tell us what the referees have decided.
Yeah, I saw that.
That is no different to what they do already. We're stood in the away end yesterday. Penalty has been given, okay? Taylor thought about it for longer than the VAR seemed to, because then he's just gone, yeah, it's definitely a penalty. I don't know how long. It felt like 5 minutes. Could have been a little bit less, could have been a little bit more. An image comes up on the screen with text basically saying, the referee came to the decision and it was agreed by VAR that decision was not sufficient enough to overturn the decision, blah, blah, blah. That's all the tannoy is going to tell you. It's not going to tell you about the application of the law. It's not going to tell you about the thought process. It's not going to tell you about the incident. All it said was Saliba, sufficient contact, penalty. That's it.
I thought they were going to let us listen to the...
No. They're not letting us listen to the live broadcast of the thing. Basically, the fourth official or the stadium announcer is going to read out... VAR decided that it was a penalty, so shut up and take your medicine.
I think what they'll do is they'll get, you know, a really silky voiced actress to read it out, you know, so that it sort of assuages everyone's anger.
Oh, it's going to be like that episode of Friends when Chandler tries to leave the gym and they get Veronica out. I just want to leave the gym. And we're Chandler, we're the football fan in that instance. And we're just like, we just want to know why you made that decision. Well, here's Veronica to tell you why you don't want to know that decision. And she's going to flick her hair and you're just going to shut up and eat your pie. Yeah. Honestly, that it's so infuriating because ultimately, and this is the thing that gets me, like you said, never seen a penalty given for that before.
And you won't again.
Damn sure I won't see that again. Martinelli getting booked twice in 7 seconds. Okay.
Funnily enough, never seen that since.
Never seen that before. Never seen it since. Okay. We were talking about it yesterday, although I did trigger someone that we were waiting to be recovered by the AA for with when I talked about Van Persie. You know, the kick away in against Barcelona.
Yeah.
Just ridiculous. I mean, and it's hard. I don't want to be that guy because there's bad refereeing decisions in all sorts of things. I talked last season about all the ones that seem to be going against Wolves in their sort of situations. It's happening to us all, but obviously I'm going to talk about it from an Arsenal point of view because that's the world we live in. And it's so annoying. It shouldn't have decided the game yesterday, but it did.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that our performance was okay given the circumstances within which we found ourselves. And we can play badly. I think, Chris, you might have mentioned this. If that penalty hadn't occurred and we won the game 1-0, everybody would be eulogising about our resilience.
Dogged, all that.
Yeah, you know, yeah. And we'd be 2 points nearer to Liverpool. And we'd be two further points nearer to Liverpool had Rice not been ridiculously red-carded. In the home game against Brighton. And I just want to say on record as well, I really, really dislike Brighton's manager and their team. Mm-hmm. Spiky little so-and-sos, the lot of them.
Well, I was saying to...
Built in his image.
Yes, and I'm being PG about how I'm couching this.
He's so new to the Premier League. I think.
No, he's a piece of work.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I'm getting that vibe as well.
He said Rice deserved to be sent off in the first game, and he said that was a clear penalty in this game. Sorry, you can be as blinkered as you want, but there are certain things that you kind of don't say anything. Just say, look, But
referee made a decision. That's it.
Exactly. Be grey, be neutral like that. That's fine. But to come out
Eddie
and clearly lie about what you're saying, he doesn't genuinely believe that. The guy's played football. Has he played football? I don't know. Is he a former footballer?
I've got no idea.
No, I don't know. But he's a manager anyway, so he's been around for a bit, and
I was saying this yesterday to the people I was with about. I should like Brighton. I know we don't like any of our sort of like rival, teams that we play or in any sense. But just stepping back and being objective, they're a well-run club. They're quite provincial. They've had their tough times and they're quite well supported. And this, that, and the other. We saw lots of things around the ground yesterday because obviously the ground is slightly out of Brighton, so they put on lots of bus services for people. They really do make the effort. But I really don't like them because we've had such ding-dongs with them in the last few years, and they've had one or two really sort of niggly, horrible players. Neil Maupay. Is the main one.
And Veltman now is my one.
Veltman is another one. Yeah, he was getting dogs abuse yesterday.
He barged Jesus over as well.
Yeah.
Well, did he take down Gabriel in the box at a corner? Was that him?
Yeah, well, that was a penalty.
First half, good penalty shout.
Penalty all day long. No mention of it. Just say that Jorginho could have been given a red card as well. He was a bit naughty just before
because they had a Jorginho as well.
Just before our one, just before he was substituted as well. Yeah. He kicked back at a Brighton player and made contact as well. And apparently VAR did check it, but decided.
But yeah, so I should like Brighton, but I really don't. And, may their form drop off. Because they're draw specialists. He's equalled the record now. First 20 games, 10 draws.
And eight games without a win. So, like, relegation material, let them go down. Sink them into the English Channel or whatever. I don't know. Is it the English Channel down there? It is, isn't it? Yes. Okay. I know my geography. Chris, anything to add to our combined hatred of or growing, burgeoning dislike of Brighton?
No, I think you've encapsulated it beautifully, really. I'm already creating some voodoo dolls of Veltman and what's his face, the manager.
What's the manager called?
Hertzler.
Can't remember what his first name is.
Yeah. I just want to add about the penalty in all seriousness, though. There was a lot made of the fact that Saliba made contact with the ball, which I don't think we've mentioned enough, is that
it wasn't a foul.
And I know the whole thing of getting the ball before the man is not necessarily a get out of jail free card in this instance, but it's contextual as well, and that where they were going up for it, the guy had flicked it up. It wasn't like he had total control of it. It was there to be won.
Yeah, it was a clash of heads.
So I just want to make that point, that I know that the getting the ball before the man is not 100%, well, I did that, therefore it's not a foul. But I think we have to look at the context of it as well.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't blame Anthony Taylor so much, because he couldn't have seen that Saliba got the ball.
Mm.
But if he had seen that himself, he would have, if the VAR had told him to go back to the monitor and look at that and showed them that slow-mo of Saliba making contact with the ball, he's changed his decision.
Yeah. And the guy went down like he'd been shot as well, which always helps.
I don't blame him for that. You want to, if you can gain any advantage for your team, you do.
Yeah.
But the referee and VAR in particular, they've got the benefit of replays and different angles. They should be better than that.
Yeah.
So it's a mistake, big time, and it's one that's cost us. But look, Liverpool did drop points today, so we are exactly as we were at kickoff yesterday. We've got a tough away game out of the way. Liverpool have messed up in a really piss-easy home win against a relegation candidate. Really annoyingly, Fulham got an equaliser against Ipswich, otherwise Ipswich would only be a couple of points behind United, and I'm here for that. The only thing that would make me feel better about Everton not getting relegated would be Manchester United getting relegated. Anyway, look, anything else to say about yesterday at all?
Well, I just think going forward that, because player availability is going to be an issue for a little bit, so play the roundest pegs in the roundest holes.
Yeah.
I think we've got to embrace a little bit more positive football, speed the game up a little bit more, and just look to make that difference, because it's all that. I think that control, that strangulation of the game works when everyone is fit and firing, but actually, I don't know. It just needs to be a little bit more savvy when we're playing players who aren't up to speed.
Yeah, and the options we've got aren't good enough. So we're in January. I mean, Trossard isn't good enough for a title challenging team. Simple as that. Off the bench or starting, but certainly not starting. Martinelli's had a bit of a decent run. Yeah, okay. If he was ill, we'll give him a pass for yesterday. Ødegaard definitely gets a pass if under the weather as well. Havertz not there. Yeah, look, there are mitigating circumstances, but we're in the 5th of January now. Cunha looks like he's going to sign an extension at Wolves. Yes, that might be to protect his value for them ahead of the summer transfer, but I'm not interested in a summer transfer. And if we get to the summer, I don't want Cunha necessarily. No, I don't know who we're going to get, but nor does anyone at the moment. I just hope we definitely need bodies. And if Ranieri's injury is a muscular one, which it is, and if it's on a par with Saka's, we're like even more in need of reinforcements. Look, okay, parking that there. The next 5 home games coming up in 3 different competitions. So we've got Newcastle on Tuesday in the first leg of the semi-final. We've got United next Sunday at home in the FA Cup third round, annoyingly. Although because their priority is Premier League survival, yeah. they might rest some players as well. We've then got Spurs on the Wednesday, the 15th, followed by Villa on the 18th, Saturday, and then Zagreb on the 24th, midweek Wednesday, the Champions League.
It's grueling, isn't it?
It is grueling, but it's all at home.
Yeah.
And that's good. So it limits their travel and the legs and the timings and so on. They'll all get proper night sleeps and so on and well rested.
The question is, what will it be?
Okay, Chris, what do you think it will be against Newcastle on Tuesday?
Oh, nifty segue.
Wasn't it, just?
But I don't have anywhere to put the sting in, though. You've just kind of segued so smoothly. There was no point at which you said, we're going to have a little breather. So let's just plough on.
We're going to keep this Newcastle chat very brief.
Okay.
Brevity's our friend.
Okay, well, let me check my little list then for...
I've caught you by surprise there.
Because you were so slick. There's a lot of assumptions here, but here goes. I think it's going to be Raya in goal. Timber comes back in at right back. I think it's going to be Saliba, Gabriel centre halves, and then I'm going to bring MLS back in if he's well enough for that. Again, if he's well enough, Ødegaard starts for me, and then Rice anchoring with Merino. I'm going to put Jesus right, Havertz up top with Martinelli left.
All right, Steph.
Newcastle are going to go very strong because they want a trophy, any trophy. Their league form has picked up, so I think they can definitely go strong in this. And because we then have United in the FA Cup, which, as much as I love the FA Cup, we're starting out on that journey, whereas we're close to a Wembley final with this one, I think we could and probably should go as strong as we can for this as well. So I've got pretty much the same team, albeit we have no idea who's still ill.
Yeah.
And of those who are injured are back. So, Raya in goal because Neto's cup-tied anyway. Dope. Timber, Saliba, Gabriel. I am bringing Lewis Skelly back if he's well enough. I don't know anything to the contrary, but just, I don't know, a bit of pace in there, a bit of strength. Calafiori hasn't done an awful lot for me last couple of games. Odegaard, Partey, Rice, which I think is our best midfield. If again they're well enough to do so, and then the front line. Havertz, if you can bring him back, play him centre forward, do it. Martinelli on the left because that's nominally his more familiar position, and on the right I would play Jesus because he's in slightly more form than Trossard because there's really not anyone else after Nwaneri's gone and so on and so forth. So that would be my team as well.
That is exactly the team I've picked.
Yeah,
and the caveat is I don't know who's ill.
Yeah. That's the problem, isn't it?
That's the caveat. I've got Jesus, Havertz, Martinelli, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel. And I was shaking my head, Chris, not at Lewis Skelly coming back in, but you're referring to him as MLS.
Did I say MLS again?
You did.
Oh, okay.
We should bleep that. Can you bleep that every time you say it? It sounds like you're swearing.
So when you think about it, so MLS could be Calafiori, Odegaard could be Marino, Havertz could be Jesus, and then obviously Trossard could be on the right. So you're talking about 4 or 5 players who could be completely different just because of illness. Yeah. And then the list of injuries that are there as well. Because
then someone like Cabia could start against United on Saturday.
Wouldn't mind that.
In the FA Cup.
Wouldn't mind that at all.
I think
Kivior, those real sort of squad players are going to come in as well. Neto was probably going to play, isn't he?
Yes, good. Yeah,
so Neto, Kivior.
That would be his first game.
It will be his first game.
Yeah, and I was going to say, what was I going to say? What were we talking about?
Were you going to ask for our score predictions against Newcastle?
Possibly. Yeah, let's run with that. Chris?
I think it's going to be a bum-clenching 2-1 victory.
Steph?
I think we're going to lose 2-0.
Even going with our strongest team. Apparently Newcastle, who are on a great run, all right, they're like won 6 in a row, but they weren't at their best at the weekend. I can't remember who did they beat yesterday.
Spurs.
but I've seen Spurs fans say that their second half performance was really good, and the least Spurs deserved out of their game was a draw. At the very least they deserved a draw, but they lost. So who? So ha. But anyway, I've gone 2-1 as well.
To us?
Yes, to us. I think it's going to be horrible.
Yes.
There, and they will be very up for it. But Steph, I agree with you. I think that it's a semi-final.
They will pick their strongest 11.
We've got to go for it as well.
Yes.
We've got to go for it. We cannot be looking at United on Saturday.
No, forget that. I'm just worried that it's going to be it's a quick turnaround, but also our momentum is with them slightly. Even the fact that they didn't play well against Spurs, they still won, and I don't know. It just feels like everything we do is like walking through treacle at the minute.
I'm hoping that it may be because it's a cup game, then league form can kind of take a back seat and we just take it for what it is. There is a slightly different narrative in that it's a 2-leg affair and that they'll probably be...
They'll keep it tight,
happier to play it tight rather than go for it. So I don't... Look, they're more than capable of doing this, of course, but I just don't think they're going to be as adventurous as they would.
But you two are forgetting one thing. It's an important thing, an omission. Isak will be on his way to us.
Shut up.
He won't factor into this tie at all.
Jesus Christ.
Do you think we might sign him before the game?
I think we'll put a bid in just to unsettle him. Even if we don't have any intention of following through, just put a big bid in. Unsettle him. Get the Geordies wound up.
Tomorrow morning, please.
Do you know what? I might do it. Can I hack into Arsenal's fax machine? Send a fax over.
They still do faxes, do they?
I'm sure they do, yeah. Of course they do.
Dot matrix printer comes through the... For those of you who are under the age of 40, a dot matrix printer is...
Okay, we're descending into delirium. So let's call it there. Right, okay, gentlemen. Do you know what? I feel a lot better, not having spoken to you two, but I feel a lot better. I feel a lot better having Liverpool drop points. I just think and at home against the relegation team, it's just like that machine, like unstoppable nature that they've been developed. You used that quote last week, Steph, from Gunnerblog, that we're difficult to score against, but Liverpool seem like difficult to stop. Well, actually, they've been stopped.
Especially
and United were unlucky not to win that game.
Everyone, I mean, I didn't watch the game, so you'll know more about that. But before the game, no one was predicting anything for United.
It was how many Liverpool would score.
Exactly.
And
everyone
that's
was
why I
talking
feel
7-0 again, wasn't they?
Yeah, and that's why that is exactly why I feel I'm ending closing off the weekend feeling a lot better than I did at final whistle yesterday. I can tell you that. And I'll take that because that means something good has happened in the world of Arsenal football. So I think we can't ask for more than that. We've not lost any ground. Again, difficult away game out of the way. But Liverpool's air of invincibility has been punctured somewhat, I think. That's a poor result for them. Make no bones about that. It's a poor result. And they're
Forest
not missing
away next.
Yeah, so come on. Watch Forest have like 8 players sent off.
Watch Chris Wood miss
against
about
Wolves
3 sitters.
tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, he did. Do you remember that one he missed against Man City?
City,
last season?
yeah.
God.
Listen, I'm trying to end on an upbeat note.
Sorry.
I can't do it.
Crying
I can't
out
do
loud. Well, I'm doing it now.
I'm the ghost of Christmas yet to come.
Have a happy week, and we'll reconvene after Newcastle on when we could do what do you call it? A Reacto pod on Tuesday evening.
Tuesday. I'll be there. Yeah.
Okay. See, I've got you all up for it now. Anyway, listen. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the chat. Have a great week wherever you are. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
I'm so happy. The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at NorthBankPod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company.
Oh, I was going to say, what was I going to say? What were we talking about?
Football.
Cream tea, afternoon tea.
Do you put the cream on first or the jam?
Oh, controversial.
Cream for me.
Cream up first, obviously.
Cream
Devon
first,
way.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Here's one that's going to split opinion. Making a cup of tea.
Yeah.
Tea bag, milk, water.
No.
Anyone who says anything different,
No.
wrong.
No. Tea bag, water, milk.
No. It starts with teapot.
Mug of tea, mate. You don't get a mug of tea out of a teapot. It's gone. It's not hot enough. That hasn't helped me remember what I was about to say.